Hey everyone.
Hey, happy Easter weekend.
Yeah, Scott and I just wanted to come to you on Saturday of Easter weekend. We know that there are so many amazing church services. We've been watching different ones, some of our friends in the ministry, and so there's just a lot out there. Please check out some of those really great ones. But today we wanted to come to you kind of with a Christian message around the story of Easter. And, I think that even if you're not a Christian, there's some principles in here that are going to apply to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of us know the story of Easter. We've either seen it in movies or television, or we learned it in Sunday school growing up. But basically, we're not going to talk a lot about the story of Easter, but we are going to talk about some things that are amidst that story that may be hidden, actually, to some of us, and maybe we haven't thought of, to give you a little different perspective. So we all know Good Friday was yesterday, and there's been a lot of talk about why it's called Good Friday, and it's really because of what God chose to do for His people, and that's why it was a Good Friday, even though it was a really bad day for Jesus dying on the cross. And then there's the Saturday time, or the Sabbath, that today is today for us. And then, of course, Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, Easter Sunday, we all celebrate. Now, there's a lot of debate in the world about that's not 3 days, that's technically 2 days, and what day was Jesus crucified on? There's all these arguments, and I would say this, what I say anytime people get into arguing the minutia, is we're missing the point. We're having all the wrong conversations, because too many people want to talk about all those details. That's not the part that's important. What's important is the big picture of what happened on those days. But Jesus actually had followers. People think about the 12 disciples. At this point, there were just 11 disciples because Judas had betrayed him. But there were 12 disciples originally. There were 72, I think, in the book of John that were sent out to do the work of the Scripture. But there were literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people who had heard his message, who had believed he was the Messiah, and who were following him to some degree. Now, how many were there at the crucifixion? I don't think anybody has a great number on those. Again, those are details that don't have to matter. Just to say, there were a lot of people who had followed Jesus and believed in him. Yeah. And we want to talk a little bit, I think, about what did they feel like the day after he was crucified, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, just thinking about one of my friends, and he was just crucified, like what that feeling of just anguish, am I next? Like, right. I think we felt that a little bit recently. Like, am I going to get the COVID?
And those closest disciples literally were feeling like, they're like, wait a minute, we've been everywhere with him. We're part of his crew. We're part of his team. Are we going to be next? And I know there was a lot of fear over that.
Yeah. Hopelessness, just being let down. I think anytime you put so much of your trust and your belief in something, and it feels like it's just shattered in one day, just being let down, just the future, like there really is no future. Like what does the future look like now if he's been crucified? Just missing their friend. Like some of them had walked with him for, so many close times and moments, and just missing him. I think just the confusion around things, feeling isolated, like, okay, now what? I mean, like, where do I go now?
Yeah. And I think, Cindy, too, there were people there that were very, very angry because they're like, he lied to us.
Right.
He set us up. This was a setup. He told us he was the Messiah. He was the Son of God. He was going to make things better. There was a lot going on politically in the world at that time, and there was a lot of oppression. And he's the one that's going to set us. He's the new Moses. He's going to set us free. And then boom, he's dead. And they had to feel angry and let down. But there were also, I think, some, and it may likely have been a very small number, who remembered what he had said, who had remembered that he had predicted his death, but he'd also predicted his resurrection. They understood the principles that were built way back in the Old Testament that he was fulfilling, and they were the ones who were probably still holding out hope. But I don't know that I think that was a huge number, because the masses tend to go where the emotion is. The masses don't tend to go focus on what's at the core. So I don't think any of us can argue that we're kind of in our own Saturday in the middle of 2020, April of 2020, where our world is. There's been a lot of death. There's been a lot of negativity. There's been a lot of anguish. There's been all of those emotions I think people are feeling. There's been physical death, economic death. There's been social death, political death. And everyday life as we know it, in some ways, has kind of been stopped in its tracks. And I think, like Jesus' followers on that day, we're experiencing many, if not all, of those same emotions that people were, right?
Yeah, well, and if you look back on our life or your life, like to this point, like there's been other situations or circumstances that have caused some of these same emotions, anger, that loneliness. So, just to really think about how we made it through, and that we did make it through.
We've made it through plenty.
And I think that's where sometimes my hope and my faith gets stronger. Just whenever we do come to Saturdays like we're in right now. And, I think in most cases, even if we can't right all the wrongs of the past, like we can't make them right, we can't go back and redo them, we do find a way to move on. We find a way to cope through these things, and then we find a way to deal with the norm and to find joy. Like we have to be able to find joy in the moment, and that joy in the morning, of the next morning. And for us, that's really what this is all about. Like, how do we find joy in the morning, tomorrow morning, and how do you find joy in your morning every day, even though your last day, felt like it this Saturday. This week in some ways has been the worst week for our country, for our world. I mean, I was listening to a podcast this morning on how some of the workers in India were trying to get back home, a place where they belonged. And I mean, it's just horrific to hear how some of them were treated, and they just wanted to get back home. So it's been the worst for our entire world. And, the COVID task force has warned us that this week is, going to be one of the worst for the United States. And then, potentially it could be a couple more weeks. But in the middle of all of our negative emotions and how we feel about these things, there is hope. There's light. There's light at the end of this somehow, in some way.
Yeah, and for followers of Jesus, that light on their Saturday came on Resurrection Sunday. In the middle of our collective Saturday we have here, I think I would love to ask everybody, like, what are you anticipating on the other side of this? Not today, not tomorrow. That you spoke about that morning, that joy in the morning, and the scriptures actually say that God's mercies are new every single morning. Like, I love to start my day just remembering that scripture that, I may have messed up yesterday. Yesterday may have been a train wreck, but every single morning, God's mercies are new, and we get to start over again. Well, when this thing is over, when our collective Saturday is over, we get to move into a new day, and how are we preparing ourselves? What are you anticipating? Are you getting things in order? Like, I think we're going to be able to experience, it may be a new normal for all of us, but it's still going to be, we'll get back to some sort of normalcy, and we can choose whether we're going to spend that, experience that with joy and with victory, or whether we're going to just lament the fact that everything's different and everything is changed.
Yeah. Well, and I think, how do we allow this to make us better? How do we allow it to make us stronger, to be more hopeful, to have more faith, to be able to encourage each other? We, have friends, and it's a husband and wife, and he was talking about just watching his wife work.
Yeah.
And just the new respect that he has for her. Like, what's a new respect that you have for someone in your family? Maybe it's one of your kids that you didn't realize how good of a student they really are, but to sit there and watch them learn. I mean, we all remember, helping our toddlers learn how to read, and to be able to learn how to walk, but to be able to watch that 13 or that 14-year-old learn, with online school. Maybe we've got some workaholic parents that have, struggled to make it home in time for dinner, but they've been able to be home for dinner.
Yeah.
Even if they have to go back to working from home, working on their computer from home. So just what are the things that come out of this? And we all may have cleaner houses as well, but we shouldn't let ourselves get stuck in this Saturday of gloom. Use it. Take time to learn about one another. Take time to tell each other, like, I respect you, or post it online. This is how we learned of our friend, really learning this new respect for his wife and how she works. So just really being able to pour into each other. And I think our relationships with our kids, with our spouses, even, with our parents, because we feel like, oh, we've got to check in on them a little bit more often,
Right.
like how do we strengthen and remind ourselves of those who really matter?
There's a biblical idea of Sabbath. A lot of religions practice a Sabbath. Even Christians practice sort of a Sabbath on Sundays, but if you're in the ministry, it's a work day. So, and there's actually a lot of talk about reinstating how people should try to reinstate a Sabbath, which is just a day of rest. It comes from all the way back at the very beginning of the Bible when God rested on the seventh day. He created the earth 6 days. He rested on that seventh day, and he established that as something we all need. And I think there's value in a Sabbath so that we can refocus, we can recharge, we can eliminate all the unnecessary things that we let dominate our everyday existence. There was an old preacher, Cindy, we used to talk about this guy all the time. His name was S.M. Lockridge. If you ever get a chance, just go on YouTube and look up S.M. Lockridge. He was an old preacher back in the maybe 40s, 50s, 60s, I don't know. There's a lot of recordings, so it's probably more like 50s, 60s. But he had some great messages. But one of his most famous messages, it's Friday, but Sunday's coming, he would say. And yeah, a lot of bad things have happened in our world, and a lot of things have gone wrong, and a lot of us are in a weird and different place. And today is Saturday, then maybe we're in this collective Saturday, or we're like we've lost a lot of hope, we've lost a lot of trust, we've lost a lot of faith, we don't know. But we just want to encourage you today. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a Sunday coming for us. It may have been Friday, it may be Saturday, but Sunday's coming. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to move on. I think we all are. But what I know is, you said this last night, we have learned so much just about ourselves, and we've learned so much about life and what's important through all of this. Maybe we've been reminded, maybe we knew it, but we've been reminded of so much. And I want to be a better version of myself on the other side of this. I want to be a better influence to my family and my friends and the people that are in our circle of influence. And I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to quit just because of COVID-19.
Well, and even, I'll tell a little story really quick. We were seeing all these gummy wrappers. Like, I don't know if your kids have these gummy snacks, but there were like 6 or 7 gummy wrappers sitting around. And we're like, really? Can't they just pick up their gummy wrappers? Talking about, kids here, the kids. And he's like, should I leave it for them to pick up? And I'm like, what would Jesus do? And he's like, you're right. Jesus would probably pick up their wrappers.
Pick up their mess.
So some of you may be so tired of picking up after your kids, so tired of doing the dishes, and so tired of cooking and things like that. But we all have a choice. And sometimes we have to remind each other, because I've been complaining about picking up or washing dishes and things like that. But just, how can we show up? And we get to choose how we want to show up on the Saturday. So.
Yeah. We don't have to live in the bad, guys. We don't have to live in the negative. Who wants to live there? Let's look forward to God's new mercies tomorrow, whatever that tomorrow looks like. It may be different, it may be new, but I'm excited about it, actually.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone,
God
for
bless
joining
you guys.
us.
Alone in my sorrow and dead in my sin, lost without hope and no place to begin. Your love made a way and let mercy come in. When death was arrested and my life began, ash was redeemed, only beauty remains. And my orphan heart was given a name. My morning grew quiet, my feet rose to dance. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes was a ransom he faithfully bore. He canceled my debt and he called me his friend. Oh, when death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new. Now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new. Now life begins with you. Oh, yes it does. Our Savior displayed on a criminal's cross, and darkness rejoiced as though heaven had lost. But then Jesus arose with our freedom at hand. That's when death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace so free washes over me. You have made me new. Now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new. Now life begins with you. Oh, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life began. Yeah, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yeah, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life began. When death was arrested and my life began. That's when death was arrested and my life began. Take this fainted heart, take these tainted hands, wash me in your love. Come like grace again. And even when my strength is lost, I'll praise you. Even when I have no song, I'll praise you. Even when it's hard to find the words louder than I'll sing your praise, I will only sing your praise. Take this mountain weight, take these ocean tears. God, even when the fight seems lost, I'll praise you. Even when it hurts like hell, I'll praise you. Even when it makes no sense to sing louder than I sing your praise, I will only sing your praise. Even when the morning comes, I'll praise you. Even when the fight is won, I'll praise you. Even when my time